Welcome to Spain Today, your daily dose of Spanish news in English. We are bringing you the latest updates from Spain, politics, culture, economy, and everyday life, all in a quick and clear summary. Stay informed wherever you are. This is Spain Today.
Welcome to the deep dive. That was your news update. And now let's really get into the source material we have today. It paints a picture of Spain facing, well, some pretty significant pressures.
Yeah, it's quite a combination. You've got these big demands coming from the European Union, especially on migration.
Right. And then domestically, the political scene is,
Yeah.
wow, intense doesn't quite cover it. It seems like everything is revolving around the courts right now.
Exactly. And that's what we want to unpack here. This isn't just about the daily headlines, is it? It's about understanding the underlying forces at play.
Like the mechanics of that EU pressure you mentioned.
Precisely. And how severe the political talk has become inside Spain. We need to look at these power struggles, the structural issues, and this whole theme of accountability that keeps cropping up. Okay, let's start with that external pressure then. The European Commission has officially said Spain is under greater migratory pressure. What does that actually mean? In practice, especially with this new migration and asylum pact coming online?
It's a formal trigger, basically. This classification means Spain, along with Italy, Greece, and Cyprus, is seen as dealing with a disproportionate number of arrivals, particularly from sea rescue operations.
So it's not just a label, it unlocks something.
It makes them eligible, yes.
Yeah.
Eligible to ask for help under the new EU solidarity mechanism. That's the core part of the pact, which should be up and running by, June 2026.
And that mechanism is supposed to relocate migrants, right? I think the number was 30,000 a year minimum from these high-pressure countries.
That's the target, yeah. At least 30,000 annually. On the surface, it looks like, concrete solidarity.
But you said it gets complicated.
It does, because the key word they're using is flexible solidarity.
Uh-oh. Flexible usually means there's a way out, doesn't it?
Pretty much. It means member states can refuse to take in relocated migrants.
They can just say no.
Well, not exactly just say no. If they refuse, they have to pay. There's a compensation package.
Pay who? Pay what?
They pay into a fund, essentially. The figure our sources mentioned is 20,000. 20,000 euros for every migrant transfer they reject.
Wait, really? 20,000 per person?
Yes. Or they can offer equivalent funds or logistical support instead. But it boils down to a financial opt-out. You can calculate the cost of not showing solidarity.
That is stark. It turns a human issue, a political commitment, into a budget calculation.
It really does. And you can see the political compromises behind it. The commissioner, Marcus Brunner, even admitted it's not perfect, but better than nothing.
That doesn't sound like a ringing endorsement.
No, it reflects how incredibly difficult it is to get all EU members on the same page about migration. It's this constant balancing act between solidarity and responsibility.
Speaking of responsibility, isn't there a catch for countries like Italy even getting this help?
Yes. Good point. Brunner made it clear. Before countries like Italy can fully benefit from the solidarity mechanism, they need to get back in full compliance with the Dublin rules.
Remind us what the Dublin rules are again.
Basically, they say the first EU country an asylum seeker enters is responsible for handling their claim. So the EU is saying, show us you're managing your own side of the bargain, processing arrivals properly, then you can fully access the solidarity funds and relocations. It's definitely a bit of stick along with the carrot.
And this isn't just about the Med countries, is it? The sources mentioned others, too.
That's right. About a dozen other countries, Germany, France, Poland, Belgium, are flagged as being at risk of future pressure. They get priority access to some aid instruments, too.
So Brussels definitely sees this as a Europe-wide challenge, not just a southern border problem.
Absolutely. It shows the scale. But for Spain, the immediate issue is navigating the system where cooperation is encouraged, but, refusal has a price tag.
Okay, let's pivot inward then. Because while the EU situation is complex, the domestic political climate in Spain sounds explosive.
That's one word for it, yeah.
The reports from Congress describe these incredibly harsh attacks from the opposition leaders, Alberto Núñez Feijóo of the PP and Santiago Abascal from Vox, aimed at President Pedro Sánchez. What was Feijóo's main line of attack?
Feijóo went hard.
Yeah.
Very personal. Accused Sánchez of having disloyalty in the blood, saying he's only loyal to himself.
Strong words.
Very. And he basically drew a line in the sand. Told Sánchez, don't count on me for this or for anything. Just a total rejection of any cooperation. And of course, demanding early elections. He framed it as a political and moral obligation.
But it wasn't just political attacks, was it? There was a specific focus on the judiciary.
Exactly. That was the core of it, really. Feijóo claims Sanchez is clinging to power out of fear. Fear of what the courts might do, either regarding his government or his party.
Fear of investigation.
Yes. He accused Sanchez of trying to control the state attorney's office, the prosecutor general's office, even dismantling the UCO.
The UCO, that's the Guardia Civil's main unit for tackling serious crime and corruption, right?
That's the one. So accusing the president of interfering there, well, that ramps up the stakes considerably.
Did he give examples?
He mentioned a specific case involving a former socialist figure, Larry Diaz, who allegedly offered favors from the prosecutor's office. Feijóo directly asked Sanchez if he was also the president of the sewer, the cloaca. It's language designed to suggest deep-seated corruption and abuse of power.
Okay, so that's Feijóo. If his rhetoric was sharp, how did Santiago Abascal from Vox frame things?
Abascal's was, well, pure attack mode. He called Sanchez a narcissist without scruples.
Oof.
And then went further, saying he was supported by bums and crooks directed by terrorists and jihadists. I mean, when you hear language like that in Parliament...
It signals a complete breakdown of normal political discourse.
Absolutely. The aim isn't to debate policy. It's to utterly delegitimize the opponent.
And Abascal also tried to connect this to the situation in Valencia, didn't he? There was a regional angle.
Yes, very much so. With the Valencian regional president, Carlos Mazón, having resigned, Abascal saw an opening. He said, okay, support snap general elections. But if not...
If not what?
Then Sanchez should basically shut up and let the PP and Vox install their own person, Juanfran Pérez Yorca, as the new head of the Valencian regional government, the Generalitat.
Wow, that's quite the demand.
And he didn't stop there. He urged the PP to break all their agreements with Sanchez's party, the PSOE, everywhere, even in Brussels, in Ceuta. Total political warfare.
So facing accusations of being a narcissist running a sewer, how did President Sanchez hit back?
Sanchez painted the opposition as absolutely destructive.
Yeah.
He accused them of being surrendered to the ultra-right.
Trying to link PP to Vox explicitly?
Yes, and he broadened it out, calling their behavior a symptom of the political intellectual failure of the European right. Then he tried to pivot back to policy, asking for a spirit of agreement on things like universal public health.
And he used climate and public services as his own counterattack weapon, it seems, targeting regions where PP and Vox govern.
Correct. He specifically demanded elections in Valencia, warning a PP-Vox government there would dismantle climate protection measures.
And he brought up the Dana crisis?
He did. He invoked the memory of the 229 victims from the terrible floods in October 2024, linking climate action directly to preventing future tragedies. It was a powerful, if politically charged, argument.
And the public services angle.
He went after PP-run regions like Madrid and Andalusia, accusing them of privatization, of using the people's money to satisfy the demands of the elites. He threw out that statistic about Madrid sending 1 of every 3 euros of health spending to private clinics.
So accusations flying back and forth, often focused on control and integrity. Which brings us nicely to accountability in specific legal cases.
Yeah, the political fight isn't happening in a vacuum. It's tied to real court cases and investigations.
Let's start with the state prosecutor general, Alvaro Garcia Ortiz. He's actually on trial, isn't he?
He is. Back before the Supreme Court, just recently, November 12th. He's maintaining his innocence over those alleged leaks about Isabel Diaz Ayuso's partner, Alberto González Amador.
The accusation being he leaked details of González Amador admitting to tax crimes.
Exactly. The opposition sees this as proof positive the government is using the prosecutor's office politically against rivals.
But the trial testimony itself wasn't straightforward.
No, it was quite interesting, actually. Several journalists testified, and they explicitly denied that Garcia Ortiz was their source for that information.
Really? So where did they say they got it?
Well, many invoked professional secrecy, their right not to reveal their sources. But their testimony definitely complicates the narrative that the leak came directly from the prosecutor general himself.
Okay, one more accountability flashpoint. Valencia and the Dana crisis fallout. Carlos Mazón resigned as regional president, but then appeared before an inquiry. What was his defense?
Mazón drew a very careful line. He said his resignation was about taking political responsibility. He even called it insufficient for those trying to destroy his government. But he insisted he had no operational responsibility during the actual emergency, essentially saying, yes, politically it happened on my watch, but I wasn't the one making the specific operational mistakes on the ground.
That sounds like a difficult distinction to maintain. Who did he blame then?
He pointed fingers towards the central government in Madrid, claimed they didn't provide enough information, didn't monitor the crucial ravines, the barrancos properly.
How did that go down with the opposition?
Not well. The PSOE in compromise basically said he offered nothing new. The PSOE spokesman even threatened to report him for potential false testimony, reminding him he was under oath. So the question of who is truly accountable for those 229 deaths is still very much alive and very bitter political issue. So if we pull all these threads together, what's the big picture? You see Spain being squeezed, really. On one side, you have these EU migration rules coming in, rules that try to enforce solidarity but build in this $20,000 financial escape hatch.
Which kind of undermines the whole idea of solidarity in the first place.
It potentially does, yeah. And then internally and domestically, you have this incredibly toxic political environment where the judicial system, prosecutors, judges, investigators, has become the main battleground. The fight is about survival, framed through accusations of corruption or abuse of power.
It does seem like accountability is the word of the day, doesn't it? Whether it's accountability for a natural disaster like the Bana crisis, or alleged legal misconduct, or even just fulfilling those EU migration quotas, everyone seems to be under intense scrutiny, and those accusations are the main political weapons right now.
That's a very good summary of the situation.
And looking at that EU migration pact again, it really does leave you with a thought, doesn't it? We're seeing the creation of a formal system where governments can literally put a price, that 20,000 figure, on not accepting migrants they're supposed to under the solidarity rules.
A calculated cost of non-compliance.
Exactly. So the question for you, the listener, to maybe ponder is this. Can you ever build genuine, lasting European solidarity on migration, or anything really, when there's such a clear, institutionalized financial way for countries to just buy their way out of participating?